Hey, what's up, fellas? Welcome back, everybody. Bill, you're on mute. How's everybody doing?
Oh,
there we go.
There
What's
you
up,
are.
gentlemen?
I know. I was like, man, Bill has not chimed in yet. What is
right? Yeah.
what's he doing? Good to see you guys.
What's up, fellas?
Brent's just over there doing some CrossFit.
getting a workout.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I was just pumped to talk to John again.
Hey.
Getting
Hell
pumped for ProPEAT
yes.
tonight.
That's just awesome. Pumping some iron.
Yeah, baby. Get pumped for ProPEAT. Let's go.
His
Also,
lawn's full.
looks like Montana Grows in the chat. So shout out to Rob there and over Montana Grow.
Up, Rob?
Buddy. He's here supporting ProPEAT.
Heck yeah. Got to. How do you not? That's what I want to know. How do you know?
Well, you know what? We have not done a shout out in the live chat for a while, guys. Maybe we do a quick little shout out. My person was Grass Geekin first. He was the first one. Then I saw LTZ rolling in. He's usually the first one. Papa Mo's Low, good to see you. He gave a shout out to ProPEAT, the best fertilizer on the market, he said.
Yeah, he's coming in quick with the questions.
Oh, Papa is
quick. Yep. He
Good.
said explain the difference between ProPEAT and fossil. Go.
All right.
So
He's here for info.
He's got one on deck for John already.
All right,
Ready to rock and roll.
Well, as Papa knows, we don't start talking about stuff until we grab a glass.
Grab
a glass, baby. Off the grass. I got my zero sugar Gatorade.
Got my
Cheer
Coke
wine,
Zero
baby.
tonight.
Cheers.
Cheer wine for Cody. Nice.
Your wine, nice.
Your wine.
You.
We got an early morning tomorrow. I gotta stick to water.
Yeah, I got an early morning too, so I hear you. All right, well, I just saw Hawkeye Corvette Boy. He was our last week Lawn of the Week winner. Good to see you.
Oh,
What's up, brother?
And Drunk Lawn Guy, he hasn't been drinking enough because he threw out a riddle. He said, Pete and Pro were walking down the street. Pete went home. Who was left? Anybody? I don't know. I guess if Pete went home, so ProPEAT was left is my guess. We'll have to see if that's right or not. So Drunk Lawn Guy, give us an answer in there.
Maybe he has been drinking.
Right, yeah.
Because that don't make a lick of sense.
So who do we got tonight, Brian?
Well, we have one of our favorite guests, and some people have asked to have him back on. We got Mr. John Pocock of ProPEAT Fertilizer, who also is also going to talk to us about a new endeavor, new product, Fossil. We touched a little bit on it last year when he was on. I had the fortunate experience to go up and meet with John a couple of weeks ago. He let me tour the plant again, and we talked around. We drove around Sugar City and all sorts of places. I got to see his childhood home, which was cool, and places that he was milking cows and potato farming and all that good stuff. So we are pleased that he accepted our invitation to come back on and talk to all of you about ProPEAT and Fossil. So John, welcome. Thank you for coming on, and the mic and floor is yours.
Thank you, Brian, and good to see you the other day. I guess I'm still on here. If somehow I've minimized your keep off. I did switch to my other laptop here, and so
good.
But now I'm like partial screen. You're like a mini me, Brian. So
well, yeah, I'll do that for the weight loss there. But yeah, it's good that you're still on. Yeah, you're on. We see you. We can hear you.
Okay, all right. It just said I needed to close some windows because the volume wasn't working very good. But yes, thanks for having me back on. We can talk about, you bet, we'll talk about ProPEAT a little bit more. We'll talk about Fossil. We'll talk about anything you want. I sent Brian a few pictures, and when we can answer questions, and then we can go to them pictures when people don't have questions, and however you want to do it there, Brian.
Well, first of all, usually when we have a guest on, we kind of ask them like, hey, you're kind of into lawns and stuff like that. What does your lawn look like?
Ooh.
So you actually sent me a picture of your lawn. So we're gonna pull that up real quick so that everybody can see what John's lawn looks like.
So while he's pulling that up, I'll give you a little history. So we just
Nice.
Hell yeah.
we just built a new home here about 2 years ago, and I've been doing all my own landscaping. So I just got this lawn planted a year ago this month. So that lawn is 1 year old.
Yeah, baby grass.
And Kentucky bluegrass. It's a hybrid mix of some kind. My friend's a sod farmer, so he got it for me. But anyway, that grass right there is just 1 year old. I had not fertilized it since the 1st of May.
Wow.
So it'd been almost 90 days. And then the 1st of May, I put it on pretty heavy. I just come over here to the fertilizer plant, and you know how I have broken bags. So it was a combination of 13.58, 11, and 17.04. And I just
the perks of owning your own fertilizer company.
Yes.
And I just dumped it in the spreader and spread it on. And then I did put a 25-pound bag of fossil on there too. So that lawn has not had anything on it except for a week ago tonight, last Tuesday night, I put one application of 7,414 on, and I can't believe how it darkened it up. The iron in that 7,414 and that SOP darkened that up in 1 week.
Yeah, that's a beautiful color.
Oh, it's really good.
And we've had 95 degrees, 97 degrees. It's been hot here.
Yeah.
No, you have irrigation?
Yes, it gets watered every night in the middle of the night. Yes, it's under irrigation.
Cool.
Yep. So that's my lawn right there. I thought, well, I get to see everybody else's. Maybe I better show mine.
So now that you've shared the lawn, you know what you have to do, right? You're gonna have to stripe it up and get some photos up on the ProPEAT website or the Instagram page, for all of us to see.
Yeah, I don't know if I can figure out how to stripe it up.
Talk to
we have a friend named
talk to Steve
who might be able to help you with that.
Yeah.
Now that's a collaboration for the ages.
Oh man,
ProPEAT and Lawn Striper.
That'd be awesome.
But yeah, that's a great looking lawn from one of our guests. So great job, John.
Big
All right.
KOTG lawn of the week right there.
Yeah.
You might win Lawn of the Week.
you might get yourself a bag of ProPEAT.
Then we'll have to send out something.
Oh, yeah, drunk lawn guy voted for you already. So
Yeah,
I like that guy.
I like that.
He's hard not to like.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, if I win lawn of the week, I guess you guys will have to send me a keep off the grass hat or T-shirt or something. I think I already got one.
Yeah.
Well,
So hey, John, for those of us, a lot of us, know you or know ProPEAT, but for new viewers or folks that haven't gone back to listen to the previous episode, tell us a little bit about ProPEAT. Like what makes you guys different? What is the peat and ProPEAT and kind of so folks can learn a little bit about you guys. Tell us a little bit about you and ProPEAT, what you guys do.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just give you a little bit of brief history. I think we went over some of that last time, but there's a gentleman out of South Africa. His name's Ockert Fiore. The guy eats, drinks, and sleeps plant science. And he come up with the idea of our soil needing carbon and the importance of carbon. And it's even happened in our, we farm too. It's even happened in our agriculture world that people are realizing that our soil, we've basically farmed our soils for so long that it needs carbon. And peat moss is a natural source of carbon. And we use a sphagnum peat that's about 50 to 60% carbon. And anyway, he come up with a formula to granulate NPK. We use ammonium sulfate, MAP 1152 for phosphate and potash, and then sulfate of potash on some of our analysis. and mix that with peat moss and make an homogeneous granule. And I was introduced to these guys through, we have a trucking company. We run hopper bottoms. Pocock Trucking is what it's called. But anyway, we've been in the trucking business since 1979, and we haul a lot of fertilizer. We haul a lot of fertilizer for Simplot. We haul a lot of fertilizer for what used to be Agrium. It's Nutrien now. We haul phosphates out of Idaho. All over the Northwest. We'll bring nitrogens back into Idaho. So anyway, I have a lot of connections through the fertilizer business and through dispatching trucks. And I was introduced to Ockert and these gentlemen through a fertilizer company that we haul in Layton, Utah, down there. And they come to me and said, hey, we got a guy wants to make carbon fertilizer in the US. And of course, I really wasn't interested. And then they come back and said, I think you need to take a look at this. And next thing you know, I was on a plane to South Africa, and I went toward the plant. And I said, send me some samples. And we shipped them across the United States and had great results on it. So off we went. And now Ockert, his company is called Nanturf. If you want to look it up down there. And now he's closed his plant in South Africa, and we actually make all his fertilizer here at our plant in Sugar City, put it on a container and ship it to South Africa. We make such a quality product that he doesn't even make it in South Africa anymore. We ship it back down to him. And in fact, for the listeners on there today, tonight, I was just telling the Keep Off the Grass group here a little while ago, we just got a order in today to go to Australia. So as of now, we've shipped foreign countries. We've shipped to South Korea. I've done quite a bit into the golf courses in South Korea. They've taken probably 3 or 4 container loads over the last couple of years. South Korea, South Africa, Australia. Wow. We've sent some to Mongolia, and we shipped a load the other day to Sweden. Not a load, a container. When I say a load, I'm a trucker, so I say a container.
The big loads is what he's talking about.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, and we just shipped one
loads
the other day. So we've shipped it all over the world, and especially in the golf industry, people are really interested in ProPEAT fertilizer. But that gives you a little background on it.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember you talking about that last time, and it sounds like just in this year, you guys have really expanded and continued to grow, which I think is fantastic. So what about peat moss makes ProPEAT different? How is it different than, say, like a normal like Scott's fertilizer or something you can go get from Home Depot? What makes it unique?
Okay, so hey, Brian, will you throw that picture up there that I sent you that shows fertilizer, and we'll talk about homogeneous granule a little bit there.
Oh yeah.
Will you throw that up on your screen there?
Yep. So, you can pull it up real quick.
I actually wanted to talk to you guys about homogeneous granules a little bit tonight, because the other day I was watching Instagram, and one of the lawn care guy, and I can't remember who it was, but anyway, he had a little video there. Nice, neat little video. It done a good job, but it showed him pouring his fertilizer into a spreader, and it had a little close up there. And when I looked at it, you could tell it was traditional fertilizer. It was a blend. And have you got that up there, Brian?
Almost.
Okay. Man, I wish I could get my screen to go back big.
Yeah, that's all right.
You're talking like when you're looking at the granules, they're different colors or different sizes. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So for example, when we do a ProPEAT, when we set up a ProPEAT booth at shows, say golf industry show or turf and elemental shows, and actually for the listeners in Texas, we'll be at Texas Nursery and Landscape Show next week. It starts, I think it's Wednesday or Thursday in San Antonio, and ProPEAT will have a booth down there next week.
Oh shoot, that's awesome.
Yeah. But anyway, so you can see on there. So when I watched this video the other day of a guy pouring fertilizer into his spreader, I had the thought. I thought, okay, I need to talk to you guys a little bit about homogeneous granules. So as you can see on the picture in there, there's the fertilizer over there, you've got green granules, that's your phosphate. And then you got white granules, that's your ammonium sulfate, your nitrogen. And then you have red granules, and that's potash. Red potash comes from Saskatchewan. If it comes out of Utah, it's gray. But a lot of people, a lot of baggers will bring that Saskatchewan red potash down just so it, basically it's got Christmas colors for looks. There's no difference. It's all potash. It's just basically so the consumer can look at it and say, whoa, I got 3 different colors of fertilizer in here. And then along with that, we got a pinch of micronutrients. All our micros are on there. And then peat moss. So then you look at the ProPEAT product, and it's just kind of a brownish gray color there. So what we do is we take all them products. We take the N, P, and the K, the peat moss, the micronutrients, and we run it through big hammer mills. These big hammer mills just whip it into powder. And then what we do is we have a big pan, and some of you that's been on our ProPEAT website probably seen that big pan granulator that turns. And what that does is then it mixes all them products and makes a homogeneous granule. So the gentleman that posted the nice video the other day, when he goes to spread, he's got a white kernel, a green kernel, a red kernel. They're kind of scattered all over the lawn, right? With ProPEAT fertilizer, you've got that red, green, and white kernel, micronutrients, and peat in every single granule. That's what makes it homogeneous.
Yeah.
Love it.
Hell yeah.
And so I'll give you kind of an example. We farm too, and we farm potatoes. So our agronomists have been telling us the last 4 or 5 years we're short on zinc. So then they say, okay, we got to put some zinc in your potato mix. Well, it's like 20 pounds an acre. Well, when a big custom applicator goes out there, where do you think 20 pounds of zinc goes? I mean, every 3 or 4 feet, there's one little kernel of zinc.
Mm-hmm.
So we're adding zinc, and if you do it year after year, we're catching up on it. But my point is, homogeneous granule, you got a little bit of, if you need a little bit of zinc, it's in every granule. It's all homogeneous, all in the same one. And then I think you had asked the question about the technology behind ProPEAT. What happens is the NPK and those micronutrients bind to the carbon in the peat moss, and then it makes for a natural release. So it's kind of like when you cook supper at night, you go to your pantry and you pull out all your ingredients to cook supper. Same thing, that plant can pull any of those ingredients it needs. If it doesn't need potash, it'll leave it there. And then what happens is that NPK binds to the carbon in the peat, and peat's an organic matter, so it helps hold it in the soil. And that's why it'll sit there for 90 days, is because it doesn't leach near as fast. And a lot better for the environment, a lot better for the soil. Use less fertilizer. You can literally use less fertilizer. Olee, I know he uses, I think most of you guys are using ProPEAT, but I know Olee's been using it for a couple of years. Olee, do you think you use less fertilizer now that you use ProPEAT?
Yes, sir. This year I've used the least amount of nitrogen that I've used of any years. So I've backed off, and I can tell that the soil has really changed, and things are staying. Things are getting richer. Roots are stronger. Just the soil is better. Even if I have something that dies or goes away and I reseed, it jumps back and gets thick within months. It doesn't take a long time. So extremely happy with it.
Yeah.
And I've seen CECs, over the years crawl up too. So the CSCs have improved.
Oh, that's good. And CEC is important.
And John, that's actually 2 parts that actually sold me on ProPEAT was your explanation of the prills, the fact that all the NPK and all the micronutrients and everything is in every single prill. And then also last year when you were on the show, you said, hey, I'd love to sell you more fertilizer, but ProPEAT, you don't need it. I mean, you just put it down twice a year, go fishing twice a year, and you're set. And so the honesty behind that. That's awesome. That, that's the kind of company I want to do business with. And then, like I said, the prill thing is just mind blowing, and it's just amazing.
Well, and that's what you're seeing from your big box stores and your other big brands, that the big boys out there. It's all advertising, and which is fine, but they're in it to make money. We're in it to make money too, but same type of deal. Because I've had people, I think we talked about, we did talk about that last time I was on the show. People come to me and say, I need a 4-step program.
Yeah.
No, you don't. You just seen a picture of my lawn. I honestly have not put any fertilizer on that since the 1st of May. It's been 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
Well, except for a week ago. I put the 7-4-14 on a week ago tonight, and that's my second application for the year. And of course,
that was good in that heat too.
Yeah, it's been, we have not had any rain here since, well, it rained this afternoon, but we have not had any rain here since about the middle of June.
Damn.
It's been pretty hot and dry
crazy.
for us too. Yeah, it's been toasty recently. So I used ProPEAT last year on my first place, and I had 2 bags of it, and I intended to do a bag and then another bag like halfway through summer. So like one towards the end of spring, like late May, and another one. And I only ended up putting up the 1 bag because it kept going all summer long. I was surprised at how much growth I got. I had the irrigation going, but I only ended up putting 1 down, and it was growing like crazy. So I think that worked really well to kind of sustain me all through and help keep me green, I think, all through the hot summer last year. I've been using different fertilizer this year, trying something different, but I do miss the little prill size. It almost makes me feel that a little bit more secure as you're seeing it come out the spreader. You kind of see that little fan. You're like, yeah, okay, that's more even versus, like you're saying, those big chunks, different colors flying here and there. I just kind of, I don't know. Am I putting enough down? I don't know. So it feels nice having that the spread is, I like that a lot. So even if it's maybe not necessary, I personally feel like I'm doing a better job spreading it when I get the smaller, the greens grade, those nice even prills.
Yeah,
So
less
John,
worried.
John, a couple questions, because I know we want to get to fossils. So the first one, some of our original viewers were on a year ago, and they remember you talking about distribution and stuff when you were just talking about that a minute ago. But you mentioned maybe Menards. Have you guys made any headway on getting out to the Midwest and using Menards as a distributor?
I'm still working on Menards.
Okay.
I thought he was a go, and they haven't bit the bullet yet. But however, I'm going to Cleveland in 2 or 3 weeks. There's a company called BFG, and they are linked with all your hardware stores, lawn and garden stores, nurseries nationwide. They're a huge company, and they've invited us. We will have a ProPEAT booth at Cleveland, and then we'll have a ProPEAT booth in Reno, Nevada. I think that's the first week of October. And BFG, I think once we do a couple of booths with BFG, I think we'll start seeing some in some other stores. But
awesome.
To answer your question, no, we haven't got it with them yet.
All right. Well, you're making headway.
But you got Winfield.
Winfield, yeah.
Winfield, and then for most of your homeowners, we have order online at Home Depot.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's where I got mine from. It was fine. Yeah.
I think a lot of people are just wanting to walk into their local Menards and grab a bag or something like that. So they like that feeling. But
I order from Home Depot.
Awesome.
Menards does have an Instagram account.
Really, realistically, it's like I have a small yard, right? Like my yard's only 5,000 square feet, and it would probably be a little bit more cost effective for me to buy from Winfield and get a whole pallet or something like that. But at the same time, I don't have a garage, and it's really only a couple bucks more just to buy from Home Depot, and it's not terrible.
Comparable, I think, for most other stuff you'd find same size bags.
One bag, 125 pound, depending on what the MPK is, but say the 7-4-14 25 pound bag covers what, 5,200 square feet, I think, somewhere around there. And that's perfect for me. So I really only need one bag at a time. And, so whatever it is, 40 something bucks on Home Depot, free shipping works for me. So that's where I buy mine.
Awesome.
We're working on getting it in some brick and mortar stores. So hopefully in the next year or so, we'll get that done.
Well, when we invite you again in a year, you can give us another update then, huh?
Okay.
All right.
Damn
So
that Menards.
back to the original, you were on a year ago for ProPEAT. You and I were talking and we wanted you back on and you wanted to talk about fossils. So that goes back to Papa Mo's Lowe's question is, what's the difference between ProPEAT and fossil? So you didn't go in much depth about fossils. So how about we talk a little bit more about that tonight?
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah. So the difference is fossil is just basically a phosphate and it's organic. So if Brian, if you got that sheet that I sent you, you could throw that up there and they can take a look at it. So fossil is OMRI approved and it's an organic product. But what we're finding out is we've got customers using fossil in the commercial market. So fossil, what we did is we developed fossil to compete with MAP. MAP is your 1152. That's your phosphate source, and MAP is used worldwide, everywhere. We use, there's even MAP in ProPEAT. And what we're doing is we have found out, especially in the agriculture industry, that MAP is getting tied up in the soil. So for example, MAP is it's 11520. So it's got 11% nitrogen, 52%, they call it P2O5 is what they call phosphate. So it's got 52% P2O5 in it. And what these agronomists and farmers are finding out is that of the 52% of phosphate that you're putting on your soil, whether it's your lawn, your garden, an agriculture crop, only about 15 to 20% of that is available. The rest of it is getting locked up in your soil. So our soils are just getting locked up with phosphates and it's not usable. So then you have agronomists come in and they'll use biological products that help release phosphate back into the soil. And those things are expensive. So what we did, and is how I'll give you a little history on fossils. So I think you mentioned Robbie Lindsay, Montana Grow. He's was on your show here the other night, and he's on today. But here, when we built the ProPEAT plant, we was just getting going, and of course, we're not producing enough fertilizer to run the plant every day. It's a pretty good sized plant, and we can just run it at the first couple of years. We could run it a couple months a year and produce what we needed on our sales. So we had people coming to us when they found out we had a pan granulator, and they had people coming to us and they'd say, "Hey, will you custom granulate product for us?" Well, we got to looking at it. Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's do it. Well, Montana Grow was Robbie and Montana Grow was one of the people that come to us. So we brought Montana Grow from Montana down to our plant, run it through our hammer mills, and granulated it for him. And the reason we done that is because his Montana Grow is kind of a powder, kind of a rock. People wanted his product uniform, if that makes sense, in a prill.
Sure.
Because it spreads easier, spreads nicer, right? And so we started doing some custom granulation. Well, in that process, Robbie's got a chemist that was helping him. His name's Jim Samuelson. He used to work for Simplot, smart guy. And it's a small world. It's interesting how things come together. So there's another guy, and he's a partner in Fossil too. His name's Ed Gannon. He worked for a company that sold us our dust control. We spray a little on there to control dust. So, when you spread your ProPEAT, it's not dusty. Well, he's got a chemistry background. Well, these guys were we're saying, hey, we ought to develop a product that's got a little bit of Montana grow in it. We think it's a good product. And myself, I'm just farm kid, and I'm thinking, yeah, right, this stuff's bugs in a jug, right? But we got to doing some research and putting things together, and Ed retired from this company that he worked for, and he come to us and he says, hey, let's just form a partnership and let's see if we can make a product. And I said, I shouldn't call it fossil because we didn't have a name for it at that point, right? And he says, I think we need to make a rock phosphate that will break down on its own, that doesn't have a chemical reaction to make phosphate. And he had some ideas. And so we started making samples, and a guy named Dr. Jed Eberly, he works for Montana State University in Moccasin, Montana, middle of nowhere. But he's got a lab up there. And he started doing syllabus testing for us. And we would send him different combinations of all of our ideas and everything. And this went on for about a year or so. And then Jim Samuelson, that is with Robbie's group, come back and he says, guys, I really want to put this silica. Montana grows a silica. I think he explained all that to you. And he says, I think we need to put the silica in it. So we mixed up some samples, set them up there. Well, pretty soon, Dr. Jed Everly's coming back and saying, hey, this stuff is breaking down fast. Bingo, there we go. So long story short, I hired a patent attorney out of Boise, Idaho, and it took us a year and a half, but we've put a patent on this fossil product. And it's got silica in it, and it's got some elemental sulfur in it. That's why it's the 01604. And what happens is when you make, if you're a big fertilizer production plant, and they're huge billion-dollar plants, what you have to do is you have to bring in like sulfuric acid, all kinds of acids like that. And they make it, they have a process where they mix it with the phosphate ore that's coming out of the dirt. And what's interesting is most of your phosphate coming out of the ground is only about 20 to 22% P2O5 phosphate. So you have to boost that to get it to 52% if you're going to make MAP, right? So it's all through a chemical reaction. So what we want to do is do it without a chemical reaction, and that's what we've done. We've developed fossil without making a chemical reaction. It does it. It's a natural reaction. So between our ingredients in there with silica and elemental sulfur and a few things like that, that reaction happens naturally in there. The other thing is it's very environmentally friendly too. If you drive past a phosphate plant, there's huge mountains of gypsum stacked behind them. They're called gyp stacks. Millions and millions of tons of gypsum. They have to remove the gypsum when they make MAP. In our process, the silica, Robbie's product, actually creates a home for the gypsum to go to. And then in that process, it becomes available to the plant. It's quite an interesting deal, and it does it all naturally. So that's how we got it OMRI approved. It's organic. But like I say, we are actually using this and have trials for conventional farming. Brian, when he came up the other day, we went and looked at a potato field that we're doing a trial on right now. And I sent him a couple of pictures. This was from last week of June. No. And we've got a little farm here that a highway splits through the corner of it. And so we've got 9 acres, and we put fossil down last fall and have not put any more phosphate on at all. So there's the big field right there. So this was the last week of June. You can kind of see down the rows. We call shading the rows, see how big the plants are. So by the 24th, or sorry, by the, let's see, yeah, by the 1st of August, them plants got big enough, they shaded the rows so you can't see the rows no more. Mm-hmm. But see the gaps between the rows? Now go back and look at the small field with fossil. See, the rows are almost shaded.
Yeah.
So this is on our own farm, and we're doing a trial, and we're not going to add any more phosphate to this 9 acres of potatoes. We put it on last fall, and we're going to see what happens. And I'm excited we'll dig them about the first week of October, and I'm excited to see what they look like, see what the quality looks like. It'll be an interesting trial. We also have. Oh, go ahead.
Real quick, I got a question about fossil. So you were saying it naturally breaks down. So are you saying like it breaks down from microbial activity, or is it water soluble, or what makes it different as far as like it breaking down that process?
Well, micronization and microbes is a big part of that. Yep. And that's the other thing so we run all this phosphate and all our raw ingredients through what we call a big cage mill, and it grinds it into a powder, kind of like we make ProPEAT. And when it's micronized, then it becomes plant available a lot quicker than that. And yes, microbial activity does help micronize that product and make it plant available, just like any fertilizer. Yes.
So if you're like a homeowner, is this something that would supplement your current fertilizer program? Like, is it like you get a soil test? Like for me, my soil test came back that the phosphorus was, average or whatever. Nothing was out of whack per se. But if a lot of that's unavailable, is this something where you would add this to see if that helps? Or would this be supplementing or replacing like traditional fertilizing NPK products?
I think it'll replace it. And that's the thing. We're still doing lots of research on it.
Oh.
But you look at my lawn, and like I say, I put a 25-pound bag of fossil on that last spring, and it seems to hold it. We have, in fact, I met Robbie last week. We went up to Corvallis, Montana. Montana State also has a research lab in greenhouses in Corvallis, Montana. And we're doing a 3-year study on alfalfa. And what we did is we have 3 strips of alfalfa, and we put on a year ago, it's going to be a 3-year study. We put on 200 pounds the acre, 400 pounds the acre, and 600 pounds the acre. And as what we want to do is see how much phosphate is still left in there after 3 years. So we're pulling soil samples. Montana State is also cutting the hay, weighing it. We're checking quality, quantity, and then at the end of this, we want to see how much phosphate's left. But to answer your question there, yes, I think so lawn grass doesn't need a lot of phosphate, very little phosphate. But it's interesting, everybody that's using it all of a sudden is coming back a few weeks later and saying, I have my grass really reacted to this, which is even surprising us. We're about 4 years into fossil, and it takes a long time to develop and get all the research done. And so we're still learning, I'll admit that. But when we have lawn homeowners calling us back 3 and 4 weeks later and saying, my lawns look the best it ever has, that tells you one thing. Even if you pull a soil sample that says you got phosphate, it is locked up in the soil. It's not available. And phosphate is a viable part of your nutrition. I may have mentioned this. I can't remember when I was on the show a year ago. I may have mentioned this, but here 6-7 years ago, when we started ProPEAT, Ockert from down in South Africa come and visit us, and we've got a farm. I think Brian mentioned, we grew up. I grew up. We had a dairy, and we still got a feed lot now. We feed cattle, and so we produce a lot of manure, and we spread manure on our fields around our feed lot all the time. And so how we always think more is better, right? Well, we've got a little farm out there, and we try not to spud our ground. We try to rotate it. So we try not to put potatoes on it for, every 3 to 4 years. Well, this ground hadn't had any potatoes on it for 4 years. And the agronomist goes out, he pulls soil samples, high in phosphate, high in potash. He says, you won't even need to put any down. But there again, you're thinking, I don't know about this. So you put some down anyway, right? Because expensive crop of potatoes going in, it's expensive, those spuds. So anyway, we put some down. The spuds start up, they're about 6 inches tall, they look good. Start pulling petioles, what does it say? You're short on phosphate. You're going, well, the soil sample said we got plenty of phosphate. Mm-hmm. Luckily, Ockert happened to be here. And the guy just understands how soil works so good. And we showed him these soil samples and told him what we was doing. And he says, you've manured so heavy that the potassium in your manure has made the level so high, salt levels are so high, it's locked up all your phosphate. He says, go ahead and keep manuring, but he says, you got to cut back. So that's where all this kind of is stemming from is fossil. We've developed a product that is not going to get locked up in your soil.
So are you saying, so it was lower when you guys took the samples? Does it, by using this product, would it help make that locked up phosphate in the soil available then?
I don't think so. It's once your fertilizer is locked up, it's tough to get it out.
Okay.
You know, I think Montana, the silica, Montana Grow, they've been doing some experimenting, and I think it does help when you put down like silica. It does help release that the nutrients that's locked up in your soil, but it's tough to get it released.
Okay.
I think that's why we're seeing such good response with fossil.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, John, I want to show those blackberry photos. You want to talk about those?
Yes.
All right. I found this very fascinating.
Okay, so back up 2 years ago, and Robbie from Montana Grows, the one that discovered I don't know how I guess I didn't ask him how he ran into these people, but there's if you can Google it, but if you Google Isle of the Sky Farms in White Oaks, New Mexico, that's where Billy the Kid used to run around. And there's a guy there named Dr. Julian Smith. And years ago, about 20 years ago, he used to work for Simplot. He lived here in Pocatello, Idaho, worked at the, he's a chemist, got a chemistry background, smart guy. And then he ran into a lady named Jamie Tate, and she's out of New Mexico, originally from there. And very, very interesting lady. She's really into them heirloom plants. We stopped and visited her last winter, and she's got, I can't remember if they're apple trees or I think they're apple trees. She's dated them back to literally when the Pilgrims come over from across the ocean.
Wow.
She's done DNA testing on them. Fascinating lady. And so anyway, Robbie ran into him somewhere in the works and dropped him off some Montana Grow and dropped him off fossil. This was 2 years ago. We don't hear from him for like a year, and then all of a sudden they're calling saying, hey, we need some more of that fossil. It's working down here. So they have really poor soil. It's like rocks and just really poor dirt. And they grow everything organic. So in that picture with a blackberry, so Dr. Julian Smith sent me them pictures the other day. So in the pictures with the blackberries, okay, all of them have fossil at just different rates. So this first picture is a low rate of fossil. And all these blackberries are the same, in the same greenhouse, in the same, right next to each other. So it's all been the
environment, right? So they're watered the same, sunlight the same, growing, planted the same time.
Yep. So this picture here is a light rate of fossil. Okay, go to the next one. Is that the right one, Ryan?
That was the is that the other one they had?
Yep. Okay, that's a middle, that's a medium rate of fossil. Okay, then go to the next one. That's heavy fossil.
Oh, wow.
All planted, all the same bushes. They're right next to each other. Watered the same, all the other fertilizers the same, everything. And look at the difference between light, medium, and heavy fossil.
Yeah,
They can't even believe what's going on in there.
Yeah, so this one's already producing this medium one. You can kind of see some buds and stuff forming along there. And then the other one, it's like still juvenile, hasn't really grown much, but you can see the progression based on the amount of fossil
Isn't that
they put into it.
You ever seen? And that's
pretty dramatic. Yeah, that's interesting.
And then they also sent us pictures of turnips.
Yep, let me get that one up.
And if I can't read the top of that, Brian, you might have to, I think it was 2 point. Let's see.
Yeah, I wrote it down here what it was. So they did sorting turnip trial. They had untreated, so there's no fossil in it. The turnips were about 2 pounds, 3 ounces. And then the turnips that were treated were 3 pounds, 2 ounces. So it was a 40% yield increase.
Wow.
Just by using fossil.
Jeez.
So I don't know if
I didn't know where to buy this stuff.
Yeah, so it sounds like it works great for garden. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the analysis of it exactly?
So we register as a 01604, but we actually have a customer in Mexico using on organic berries. I don't know if I should say their name. You'll see it in the grocery. You'll see their name in the grocery store. But this is their second year of using fossil down there, using on organic raspberries, strawberries, and things like that. But we just shipped another container load of fossil to Mexico here about 3 weeks ago. And last year they did their own, they sent it off to their lab and did their own analysis. And it come back at 20, I think it was 21 or 21.5% P2O5. So even though it's called a 01604, the reason we come up with the number 16 is to be safe. Rock phos, when we're coming out of the mine, it will vary in P2O5 levels. And so if you have a state inspector pull a sample, you want to make sure you pass, right?
Sure.
But this phosphate here is coming from Deer Lodge, Montana, and it's been coming out between 20 and 22% P2O5. So it's registered at 016, but it's closer to 21% phosphate.
Well, you want to get into along the wheat?
Well, yeah.
Ooh.
Since we got John on here, this is a great time to do it. So again, shout out, we kind of shout you out and thank you every week, John. Now you're actually here in person, so we wanted to thank you as a group. And all the Lawn of the Week winners, thank you as well for collaborating with us over the last year of giving out a 25-pound bag of ProPEAT every week for the last year, which is amazing.
Yeah, you're amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, last year after we had John on the show, he had the idea. He said, "Hey, listen, I want to give away some fertilizer." We're like, "Great. How long you want to do that for? Like a month, 2 months? What do you think?" He goes, "Just keep giving it away. I'll let you know." And so here we are a year later, still giving away fertilizer. So
Yeah,
thanks,
that's
John.
awesome.
Yeah. Shout out. Thank you.
Everybody looks forward to it every week. And I think the allure of the Lawn of the Week has just grown. We see more and more hashtags every week, more and more entries. So, people want to get their hands on some ProPEAT, try it out. So listen, thank you again.
Hell yeah.
I was just looking at the hashtags today, and we're almost up to like 3,000 hashtags or something over the last year. So that's crazy how much it's grown. So in lieu of John's second appearance on this, he's given us the okay to actually switch up KOTG Lawn of the Week winnings. So starting today, I guess starting with this winner, you can actually choose your choice of NPK ProPEAT, or now you can choose a 25-pound bag of fossil. That is awesome.
There you go. You want to try it out? You can
That's
get your hands
amazing.
on some.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Tag them lawns.
Oh, I'm gonna tag it.
Tag it, dude.
Yeah, there's already people in the
I'll
chat
tag the
saying, "Where
shit
do I
out of
get
it."
fossil at?" So here you go. Now you just got to be the Lawn of the Week winner. You get some fossil.
And same thing, you can get, we have fossil, 25-pound bags of fossil on Home Depot online.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
Sweet.
And also want to show you guys have a website. So, jump on the website, learn more about it, studies, how it works. So PHOSUL.com. For those that aren't on the visual platform tonight, maybe listening on a podcast later in the future, Fossil is spelled PHOSUL.com. So without further ado, again, Lawn of the Week winners, you do have to use that hashtag KOTG Lawn of the Week. Put it on Instagram. It needs to be a post or a reel. The stories disappear after 24 hours, so we can't see them. We had some amazing contestants this week. Normally we have about a top 3 that we're debating against it. We actually had to pull in a 4th. There was a top 4 lawns that we were debating about. And we have chosen Mr. Michael Chack, or Cuts Kill. Cuts that kill. He's a cuts dot kill.
Ohio. Yeah, that's nice.
Ohio represent.
Yeah.
I like that border.
Contrast. Yeah. Nice and tight, clean. What do you think, Nate?
So what's the question? Is he taking ProPEAT or is he taking Fossil?
Well, he'll tell me when I message him about it, but he may already know in the chat. So if you want to tell everybody your plan, let us know if you want to do ProPEAT or Fossil, and I'll message you and we'll get that. But shout out to Michael. I mean, he's been around for a long time, and he's been working really hard on that lawn.
It looks good.
Proud to finally inaugurate him into the club. So
Congrats.
First time, definitely deserves it with that lawn.
There he is. He said, awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
He said, I'll go with the Fossil.
Ooh,
cool.
All right.
Yeah.
First Fossil winner.
First one.
There you go.
Mike's got to report back to us.
Yeah, before and afters.
Before and afters.
Brian, send him a message and tell him that when he applies that Fossil, leave one little strip somewhere without applying it. We'd be curious. We're looking for all the data and research we can find.
Yeah, I picked up a bag of Fossil. I'm going to do the same thing in my yard, find a little spot and do it. So anybody moving forward, we'll probably announce it in the future as well. But, this is a gracious gift from ProPEAT and John and the rest of the ProPEAT family. So, kind of help us out a little bit, give us some before and after pictures that they can use in a little section of your yard that you put it down or don't put it down, so they can use that information moving forward. So, but great job again. Like I said, we had a top 4. So for the rest of the people, just keep tagging it. One of those other 3 people will definitely win it here in the next 3 weeks or so, I'm assuming. So
I can't believe he's never won before.
Yeah, we were kind of shocked too.
Yeah,
he's been up there.
I know when we were talking about it, I was like, I could have sworn, just based off his lawn, and I was just like, man,
that lawn.
Well, congratulations.
Long overdue.
Where's it? Where does it say where that lawn is or where he's from?
So Ohio.
He's in Ohio, yeah.
Heck yeah.
He needs to come visit me at the ProPEAT booth and at the BFG show in Cleveland then.
Okay.
Ooh.
He's in Northeast Ohio. I don't know where that is compared to Cleveland, but it probably shouldn't be far.
Close.
Not too bad.
I know I'm going to be dragging my wife and kids down to San Antonio next weekend.
Say what the dates are again, John. When are you going to be there in Cleveland?
The BFG show. Let's see. I set up the booth on. Let's see. I move in on Monday. So the BFG show in Cleveland is 8 to 6 on the 20th, September 20th. So it's 8 to 6 September 20th, and 8 to 4 September 21st, and then I think ends at 1:30 on Thursday the 22nd.
There you go. See, plenty of time to take a vacation day And get on
Yep.
over there, everybody in Ohio.
So 20th and 21st of September.
What's up? Nice.
And then we'll be in Reno.
Hey, dog, what are you doing?
October 4th through the 6th at another BFG show down there.
Awesome.
And also, we'll be at the GI show in Louisville, Kentucky too.
Okay.
Ooh, baby.
Mhm.
And so will we.
Hey, funny you mentioned that.
And I think I told
Whatever.
John, we had one of our viewers, Brad from Hawaii, on as a guest, and we all surprised him and got Hawaii shirts, or they call them Aloha shirts. So we all jumped on a couple of weeks ago, and we were all wearing Aloha shirts to surprise him. And now we're gonna make it a thing at GIE where we all wear our Aloha shirts. So if you see a bunch of guys walking around in Hawaii shirts, it's KOTG.
Oh yeah.
We need to get some Lays.
Yeah.
That's
Potato
neat.
chips.
Support your followers and viewers too.
Yep. So fossil is pretty exciting stuff. I'm excited to try it out, put it on the lawn, see what it does.
Oh,
because
yes.
I've heard in Utah we're very high in phosphate, and so it would be interesting to see how much is locked up and how much we can maybe get unlocked or actually use the plant use. Has anybody else done not a soil test, but like a leaf analysis test? I don't know what they call them.
Tissue test.
Tissue. Yeah.
Tissue test. Zach, I know on the show last year you were talking about maybe doing that. Did you ever do one?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
And I mean, it's interesting. It still interests me in doing it. It's not really that much more expensive, but just to kind of compare to see, it'd kind of be cool. But no, I didn't do it.
Okay. Anybody else done one? Who do you do that
about
with? Is that the same thing? You can send it to a university or something. They'll do a tissue test.
Lab, yeah.
Yeah, as far as I've seen, most do both.
Okay. So yeah, that's another option. Like you said, you do a soil test, tells you what's there, but when you actually do a tissue test, it'll tell you what the plant is absorbing, right? And what it has enough of and what it doesn't have enough of. So
are there certain types of soil, John, that you think would benefit more from this product? Like we have a lot of clay out here in Missouri. Is that a soil type that you would expect the phosphate to be locked up more so than maybe some other areas?
Yeah, I think it does get locked up in a clay, a heavy type soil a little bit more than like a sand. But the reason it doesn't get really locked up in sand is because it just gets washed through. So it really locks up in everything.
Okay.
But in a heavy clay soil, it'll just hang around in there. It doesn't leach as fast. It just sticks around. But if it's locked up, it's locked up. I'm interested in what Brian finds out in Utah, because that's what everybody tells me down there, that Utah's high in phosphate. They don't need any, but I'm interested to see the difference in what it looks like, because they might be pulling them samples, and it may make a big difference. Utah State bought some from me this spring, and they're doing some on some alfalfa, and they're doing a study down there on it's organic alfalfa. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. In fact, if Brian's got a minute, can pull up our fossil website.
Yeah.
Speaking of alfalfa, I can show you something that is just absolutely amazing. And this is the first guy that tried fossil. So go to studies, Brian. Let's see. It's the one with the alfalfa in Montana. There should be some pictures.
Oh, there's pictures of it. Is it the ones up here?
Right.
Alfalfa. Yeah.
Alfalfa.
There we go.
Here we go. Okay. do you see fossil and competitor on them two right deals?
Pictures.
Look at that.
What else we got on there? I think it shows it in the bucket and everything.
I'm gonna keep going down.
Like a domination line.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a very interesting story. So I was, I mentioned earlier, I'm in the trucking business. And so this particular farmer is in St. Ignatius, Montana. And if you don't know where St. Ignatius is, it's between Missoula and Kalispell up there. And he is an organic farmer. He's a, what do you call him? Kind of a German Christian descendant. You know, he's part of a religious group up there. Nicest guy.
Like a Mennonite or a Amish guy or something?
They have a lot of Hooderites in Montana, but he's not a Hoodorite or a Mennonite. He told me what he was, but anyway, it's in that same category. But anyway, just really nice guy, good farmer, excellent farmer. Well, I've been hauling some organic rock phosphate up to him for 3 or 4 years with our trucks. And one day we just made a little fossil run in our ProPEAT plant, and we had a little bit on hand. And he called in one day and he says, "Hey, I need a load of rock phosphate." And I said, "Okay." And it actually gets like 3-way mix. It's got some chicken manure and some other stuff in it. It's actually what he buys. But anyway, he says, "I need a load of this." And I said, "Okay." I got to thinking about that, and I said, his name's Ben. I said, "Ben," I said, if I held we pull doubles, so we got a lead trailer and a pup trailer, right? Hopper bottoms. I said, "Ben, if I held off 2 ton in that pup trailer and brought it up to my plant, and we took a loader and set 2 totes of this new rock phosphate that we've developed and set it in the back, can you fish it out of there? If you got a loader, you can fish it out of there, and would you apply it and try it?" He says, "Yeah, I'll try it." So this was in the spring, and we shipped these 2 loads of fossil. And this is even before we named it, really. It wasn't even named fossil at this point. We ship up there to St. Ignatius, Montana. The summer goes by, and we don't hear a word out of him. And I'd kind of forgot about it, to be honest with you. The next spring, this is first cutting a year later. The next spring he calls and he says, "You got to come look at this." He said, "I have never seen anything like this in our farm." So if you scroll up just a little bit, you can see the color of the leaves. So the fossil side was green, thick. The competitor side that I hauled organic phosphate up to, that's what it looked like. The leaves were yellow. The bugs had ate it. Wow. And you know, that's an important part of any kind of plant, whether it's your lawn, whether it's your garden, anything. If it has plenty of nutrients, it'll help fight off them bugs. Any kind of predator, if it's healthy, it fights them off. And this is a very good example of that. Look how sick that alfalfa was. And anyway, this was 3 springs ago. Anyway, he uses all fossil now. I make some other organic blends for him and send up to him because he needs a little bit of NP and K all, but that was our very first guy that done that. And it was just, so what he did is he did 500 pounds the acre on 4 acres right in there. And when I got up there, I drove up there. It was the spring of the pandemic, I guess 2 springs ago. Because it was in June when I drove up there and things were just opening back up. By the time I got up there, he had already swathed it and it was just sitting in windrows. And I walked out through there and we're looking at the windrows. And I said, "Ben," I said, "look at the new growth already of your second crop coming up compared to the rest of the field." He says, "I didn't even notice that. The little tiny sprigs of hay starting on the second growth was already green and starting to grow. And the rest of the field was still dormant from being cut." Anyway, we're pretty excited about this fossil.
Yeah. Now, there's been a couple of questions I saw in the chat. Some guys were asking about what's the effect of the fossil on Soil pH. Anything?
That doesn't affect soil pH. In fact, we had a guy, let me find an email and I'll read you a deal about soil pH. I actually had a guy ask about, he emailed me here just last week. Let me see his question here. Let's see, what does it say here? He's asking about, got a question this morning, I don't know. They want to know, they want to know if the sulfur in the product can lower the pH of the soil. So we put a little bit of sulfur in there. So, this was from Todd. This is actually the guy that's been shipping our fossil to Mexico, to the organic growers. And as a general rule, you know, to change pHs, you've got to have like lime or gypsum, one way or the other, however you want to do that. And you got to apply it every year. We have some soil in our valley that's like that. But what I did is, Ed Gannon, he's got a chemistry background. I sent this question to him, and this was his answer, and I'll read it to you. He says, fossil effect on pH. The element sulfur in fossil is oxidized into sulfur acid and is neutralized by the apatite. The tricalcium phosphate in the phos rock becomes plant available mono and dicalcium phosphate. The SO4 from the sulfur acid, H2SO4, becomes gypsum, CaSO4, 2H2O. The overall of the change to the soil pH is 0. So that's a chemist talking. It's hard to understand that. But basically,
is there going to be a test on that?
Yeah, right.
I failed chemistry.
But basically,
failed all of school, really.
It's pretty tough to change pH.
Nate, you've been pretty quiet over there, man. I thought maybe you were unable to speak or something.
Nah, I'm not feeling very good.
Oh, sorry, man.
Yeah. You look good though.
Hey, appreciate it, man. It's because I got this KOTG vintage shirt on, my first original KOTG shirt
I like
I ever got, and it's so faded you can barely read it.
Oh yeah.
So
I thought it was just a glare on there.
Nah, so this became my one of my official lawn mowing shirts.
Nice.
You know, because it's either you mow in a cutoff or Zach. What else would you mow in, Zach, if you weren't mowing in a cutoff tee?
A crop top? I don't know what.
I don't know where you're going at.
Your shirt, brother. Look at your shirt.
Nice shirt.
Look at the shirt you're wearing.
Golf shirt. Mowing a golf shirt. There you go.
There you go.
So,
Yeah, so you
the
jumped
dapper.
on, Nate. I don't remember who it was, but someone was like, "Oh, it's Lucky Green Stripes." He's like, "Man, I didn't know Fred Durst joined KOTG."
yeah, I remember last year. Someone said that last year too. Remember that?
Yeah. Well, for those of us that are tight with Nate, if Nate's ever shared a photograph with you of his younger years, the resemblance was even stronger.
Yeah.
I'll have to wear my red backwards red hat again.
There you go. Yeah.
So
We've seen a couple pictures of Nate where the Fred Durst was strong with Nate.
that's funny.
Yeah,
I used to hear that a lot in my like 20s. So it's pretty funny that now as I'm approaching 40, I'm hearing it again.
So if we were, since we're talking about fertilizer tonight, usually when you fertilize or put some fertilizer or fossil down on your yard, you typically want to water it in, right? Either with a rain or sprinklers. So to follow up this episode next week, our guest is going to be, drum roll, big sprinklers.
Big sprinklers.
Everybody tune in for next week. You're going to learn about big sprinklers. Ole's got a lot of them. He likes the wobbles. He likes to do the wobble.
Wobble baby.
But yeah, so for those people that are looking,
coming up.
What's that?
Next couple weeks, we got a few good ones planned.
Yeah, we got some great guests coming in this month. Starting off with ProPEAT, of course, and then we've got big sprinkler, and then some more to come later. But everybody's looking towards fall, looking to do their lawn renovations and all that, maybe overseeding and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to hear about some irrigation through sprinklers and get your seed growing the right way. But yeah, so ProPEAT, you guys have, if I remember all of them, 1704, 10010, 1358, 7414, 1111. Am I
10, 10, 10.
What? Yeah, 10010.
10, 10, 10.
No,
there's
it's
also
11.
11s.
He's
10,
also got a 10, 10, 10, right? Right, John?
10, 0, 10.
10, 0.
There's not a triple. There's not a triple 10.
There's a triple 11.
11, 11,
Triple
11.
11.
Yeah, 1111. So, I mean, 7414 is a great one for summertime, summer blend. 1704, I know a lot of people put down in the springtime. They follow up the fall with a 1358. I think that's what you normally do, Nate, right? Something like that.
Yeah, I'll run 1704 in the spring and the fall. And actually, I'm waiting for some rain. We haven't had any rain in 30, 40 days. So as soon as we get some rain, I'd love to get some of my 7414 down. I'm waiting. I'm due. I need to get down, but my sprinklers can't even keep up at this point. So
Yeah, it's crazy.
but it's
right
bad.
there with you.
It's bad.
We got one good storm last week, and we're hoping they're saying it's supposed to rain a lot next week, but you know how that could change. It's a week out, so who knows.
Yeah.
But listen, if everybody in the chat, if you have any further questions about Fossil, if it's something that you're interested in, shoot John an email. You can shoot him an email at john@fossil.com. And John, just being the guy he is, he's definitely going to email you back. You got questions, he'll shoot you an email back, no problem. And, try to get you whatever answers you're looking for. So,
and they do have an Instagram handle. John just learned about it tonight. But he's got his daughter Mackenzie does the social media part of it. So head on over to @PHOSUL1. So Fossil #1 on Instagram. They're posting some stuff over there, getting active on it. So go give them a follow, keep up with them. You can maybe message on there as well. Mackenzie can get over to John if that's what you want to do, but follow @ProPEAT1 and @Fossil1. It kept it kind of simple for us. John, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about? This is another great episode. I'm gonna go back and rewatch it a few times. I love listening to all the stuff you got going. Looks like Nate's got a question.
Yeah. So I know, John, this.
Oh, sorry. I don't have anything to add. I'll just answer some questions if anybody's got some questions.
Perfect.
So the 7414 contains iron, correct?
Yes, and we also use sulfate of potash instead of murate of potash in the 7414. And then all ProPEAT has iron, but what we do is we add an extra 2% iron. So it's actually a 7414 2% iron.
Okay, that was gonna be my actual question as far as which other blends contain iron, or what's the difference in the iron content with this one. But
yeah, no, they all have iron. But we had people asking about extra iron, but I'll tell you an interesting thing. Back to Ockert Fiore, the agronomist that helped develop that. He says people are using too much iron. He said your grass does not need that much iron. You're seeing products out there that straight iron. He says you don't need that much iron. And this guy knows what he's talking about. He's a smart guy. So he said, because when we developed 7414, I asked him, I said, we have people asking to put 6-8% iron. He says, no. He says, your grass doesn't need that much iron.
Start turning purple or something, getting so dark. John, there's a question from Papa Mo's Low. He wants to know, and we pulled up the one sheet of fossil, but he wants to know if there's a different analysis for fossil or just that one.
Just the one. Yep.
Okay.
Fossil is just a standalone product.
Okay. Another question in the chat from Matthew Carmack. What analysis would you use as a starter for overseed? Like, what do you have in ProPEAT that would be a good one?
Triple 11.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, triple 11's a thing. In fact, we got a sales guy working Phoenix for us, and he's starting getting to, and he's going to high end golf courses. I don't know why it's escaped my mind. What's the suburb of Phoenix? It's the high, got all the expensive.
Scottsdale.
Scottsdale. So thank you.
Yeah.
We've got 2 or 3 golf courses in Scottsdale using ProPEAT now.
Nice.
And you know, with that heat down there, and their weather, they have to overseed, and start over for their fall, winter golf season, whatever you want to call it. And that's what we're going to push down there is triple 11 greens grade to further overseeding it down in the Phoenix, Scottsdale area.
That's awesome.
All right.
Lots of golf courses down there in Arizona for sure.
Yeah, and we've struggled to get that market going, but hopefully in the next year or so we'll get that changed.
So we got Fert in the Dirt wants to know what NPK to use for fresh sod.
Triple 11.
Okay.
Yep. I just planted some new seed in my front yard a week ago tonight, and that's what I did. What I did is I broadcast my seed down, and then I took some greens grade triple 11 and broadcasted on top of it. And then I had one of my grandkids. I got a little tiny red 4-wheeler. I actually had him drive over it with a little 4-wheeler, and it made little indentations with the knobby tires.
Yeah.
Done a really nice job because it'll help hold the water in them little holes rather than smooth.
Nice.
And because if a lot of people roller grass seed in, and then it's smooth, so when you water it, the water just runs and it runs the grass seed off.
Yeah.
Kind of a neat experiment, but it's working really good.
That's
There you
smart.
go. Out in Idaho on the farm, you just take the ATV to it and you're good to go.
Well, and I told you I've got my wife's sister lives up there in Idaho by you, so I'm going to go up into September, and we're going to do they bought a home that was her husband's parents' house, so it's been around for a very long time, and they're redoing the yard, and they did put some seed down, but it did not do very well. I'm going to see if they've got a 4-wheeler, and we're going to go driving around and make some holes in there before we overseed into September. See if that helps out.
Yeah, I think it's going to work good. I'll let you know. I can send you guys a message here in about 2 weeks, and I'll let you know how that comes. But in the potato and farming potatoes, these become popular about 25 years ago. We call them a dammer diker. And so when you grow potatoes, you go through the rows, the furrows, like you've seen in that picture, before they shade when they're small, and you go through there and to prevent weeds, right? So it's kind of weeding the potatoes, and it goes through there with some discs up the weeds. Well, about 25 years ago, a guy got an idea, and they put a big bar, and it looks like what's the best way to explain it? Like a big Ferris wheel, but it's got paddles on it. So it paddles through the field, because in this country we have hills. So we're growing potatoes over steep hills. Well, now when the pivot goes around, it holds the water in them paddle holes. And it's made really a big difference in irrigating potatoes. And I think it looks like it's doing the same thing in my lawn. It's just got them little indents from your knobby tires, and it's holding that water in there instead of running.
Oh, that's awesome.
Maybe we better develop this, I guess.
Yeah, maybe we need to make some kind of roller with knobby holes on it
Yeah,
to make those indentions on there.
If anybody could do it, I would say it's a serial entrepreneur like yourself.
We'll have to go with Lansey.
There you go.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Collaboration there.
Uh-huh. I like it.
All right, I'm looking for some other questions in here. I don't see much.
I was going to ask for fossil, what's the application rate compared to ProPEAT? Say, is it same pounds per 1,000 K, or I know on ProPEAT the bags all have acres.
Yeah, 200 pounds acre. We're saying the same thing with fossil for now. With lawn, I'd cut that back maybe 100 pounds the acre because grass doesn't need as much phosphate and on there. But when we get done with this trial up in with Montana State, we'll have some better data here in another year or two. Like I say, we're still developing this product.
Well, I'm interested in trying the fossil as well, but I'm doing an overseed, and I was thinking, maybe doing the 1111. Could you do an application of the fossil at the same time? Would you think that would be beneficial to do that? Give it a shot and see what happens.
Yeah. So if you're going to do fossil, maybe just do something with less phosphate in it. Maybe use the 1358 or actually use the 10010. Put a
1704 maybe
10 down with fossil, and then you wouldn't. That'll be.
I guess it'd be unnecessary because okay, sweet. I like it. I'll give that a try.
So Drunk Lung Guy, for those who don't know, is my neighbor, and he's always bragging about how great his trees look and stuff. So don't tell him, but I actually am starting to put some fossil down around my trees and see if I can't have a better tree than he does in his park strip.
You need to put some 1111 on them trees too.
Yeah,
compliment the lawn.
Definitely.
Yeah, 1111 works really good on trees and flowers. You wouldn't believe what it does to flowers. Like pansies, makes them bigger. It really helps flowers too. We've seen some awesome results in vegetables.
So Dan Blueblow wants to know if you know Planet Turf is carrying fossil.
Planet Turf we do a lot of business with Planet Turf. They're our distributor out of Spokane, Washington. And in fact, I had my truck delivered to Planet Turf in Spokane this morning, and then they have a customer up by Vancouver, British Columbia. We'll unload another half a load up there tomorrow morning by Vancouver, BC. But Planet Turf is not carrying fossil yet. I need to call Jim and Riley and tell them they need to get going on it, but they are not yet.
Okay.
Will Winfield pick up the fossil?
We're working on it. Only the thing with Winfield is they're a huge company and they have thousands of products. But Pat Neindorf out of Texas there that has been a big proponent of ProPEAT. He's actually doing some on his own lawn this fall. I've sent him some fossil and some silica Montana Grow, and he's going to do a couple of experiments on his own lawn, his own yard this fall down there in Houston area. And but he's going to see if he can get Winfield talked into selling fossil.
I wouldn't mind trying the silica because that's supposed to be basically what, like a Viagra for the turf.
Yes. Yeah. I'll talk to Robbie. We can get you some if you want to, especially this Keep Off the Grass group. Anytime you guys want to try something, experiment something, we'll get you some product, and because you guys keep track of it, you'll watch your lawns and see what it looks like, but we can get you a little silica out there and you can try some on there. The problem is, the problem we have is when people that do experiment, they do the whole lawn or the whole field, and I'm guilty of that too. And then like 6 months later, I look back and thought, oh, I should have left a strip with none on.
Because you're like, man, if it's going to make my lawn look good, I want my whole lawn to look good, not just all.
Right? It's hard to leave that control patch.
Yeah.
Very guilty.
And Olee, remember, it's the green pill, not the blue pill.
But this time of year, you could definitely use that and keep everything stood up strong and get better airflow as far as fighting disease and all.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah. Keep that straight up, fight disease.
Keep it straight.
Yeah, man.
Take a stand.
Get some airflow. We don't need any swamp ass.
Another question was fossil. Has it been tested with the hold in different soil types? I don't know.
That's a good question.
We do have it everywhere right now. We've got some on an apple orchard up in the Simplot's the distributor for it out of Othello, Royal City, Washington. Where do they grow all the apples up there? I'll think of it in a minute. Anyway, we got some up there on some apple in an apple orchard. I put some out here to Du Bois and Hamer, Idaho. We put fossil on 5,000 acres of organic alfalfa last fall, and it ranges anything from almost straight sand to clay out in there. So we have tried it on a few different soil types. Yes.
Okay. All right. Anything else, fellas?
I think that's pretty much it. I mean, great show.
Yeah.
Just like last time.
Oh yeah.
Just like last time John was on. That was, a very well received show, a very replayed show, a very downloaded show on the podcasts. So, wealth of knowledge. We thank you for coming back on, John.
You're welcome.
And supporting us, and we'll keep supporting you. And love it. It's a great friendship.
Yep. I want to see all this whole group in Louisville.
Yeah.
Do my best.
Working on it.
Some of our viewers going to be there as well. So we'll have a nice little meetup and come hang out at the ProPEAT booth for sure.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Pharm Dad, you just need to put your foot down.
I know.
Yeah, I agree, man. Get that shit done,
Said
Bill.
on the internet, Bill. It's done.
All right. I'll put my
Come
time
on,
in.
Bill. You're a superstar, man. Get your ass over there.
Especially since you didn't go last year.
I know.
Tell her she can come.
FOMO.
She can come too.
Bill, just
That would
think
be
about
fun.
how many TikToks you could make at GIE, Bill. Come on.
Wow. Yeah. There you go.
We'd have to go live or something. That'd be fun.
Because you get to go on all the equipment on the outside. You get to go driving around and stuff.
right.
That's a lot of TikToks right there, man.
Oh man.
That's at least a year's worth of
Be a lot of
content
fun.
right there.
If
Oh,
we
man.
go live, we need to go live from out there to racetrack after we get done with them steaks.
Yeah. I could just imagine Bill's TikToks
Steak and
now,
French
like,
fries.
hey, everybody,
Hey,
have
man,
you ever
some
wondered
damn
what
good
it's
French
like
fries.
to drive a full excavator?
Or here's a robot mower driver excavator thing. So you can use
That'd be fun.
remote control ones. But yeah, no, we're planning on it. And again, all the viewers. So John mentioned some of the shows he's going to be at. So for those guys in Ohio, I don't know too many people in Nevada, but they may be able to head over there to Reno. I'm in Sacramento right now, so I'm only like an hour or so from Reno, but I won't be there when you're around. So, but thank you, John. Definitely, I think definitely plan on coming back. We'll make this happen again. Great stuff happening
winter,
over
late
ProPEAT.
winter.
Yeah.
Late this year.
Yeah, maybe wintertime. We usually just hammer with a lot of guests every week. So would love to have you back again and follow up with what you guys are doing and any updates that you have. So
Be happy to. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Definitely. That was awesome.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in again and being active in the chat.
yes.
All right.
We'll
Big
see you
sprinkler
next week.
Go Hawks.
Big sprinkler.
Big sprinkler.
Let's go.